So I was told, I was asked to do a video on people, couples arguing in a relationship. Honey, let me tell you a little secret. Sorry, I'm going to brush this hair. This hair is looking a mess. Let me say this to you. Me and my husband, we have our spats. And the first year we were together, ooh, he was strong-minded and I was strong-minded. But even I've had to learn to pick my battles carefully. You understand? Even I. My husband is a Republican. I am not a Republican, nor am I a Democrat. I have my own belief system, so there are just some topics we do not talk about. That's one of them. Okay? Number two, my husband gets on my nerves, and I get on his. That's part of being married, honey. That's part of a relationship of any type, okay? But let me say this. Anytime two people come together in a relationship or in a marriage and they're living together, even if they're not living together, you're going to argue. That's what happens when you have two completely different people that think different and are used to different things. There's no, you're going to have to. But the problem is, y'all both are going to have to sit down and come to some type of agreement like me and my husband did. Okay? We don't talk politics in my house. Not amongst each other. And I've gotten where I don't even talk politics to my mama because she believes in a different way than I do. Does it make us different? Yes. Does it make us wrong? No. It's called opinions. And everybody got one. Okay? But my thing is, if you want a relationship to work, you've got to go sit at your table with you and whoever you with and say, okay, these are the subjects we are not talking about anymore. Put your foot down, because you're going to have to, and say, because it always makes us argue, and I am tired of arguing. Okay? However, it's going to take a little while for everybody to get used to the new policies in your house, the new rules in your house. Okay? It's going to take a while. It's going to take about 6-7 months for everybody to get used to them, and every time your spouse or your wife or your husband, whatever you are, bring it up, just say, hey, we're not talking about that subject in this house. If you want to talk about it, you call one of your friends and you go somewhere and you talk about it with them, because I ain't getting into it with you. We're not arguing in this house. Not over some simple stuff. We're not. Because everybody got opinions. Everybody. That's what makes us humans. We are opinionated. Okay? But if after a couple years it doesn't level out, then maybe you two aren't the right ones for each other. Truth. Truth, because I have noticed where there is an excessive amount of arguing, somebody is going to get verbally abused or something around that area. Okay? Just saying. Do not allow that to happen. And there's a thin line between arguing and abuse. Okay? And you got to know your line and where your boundaries are. You know what I'm saying? But there are certain things in my house that nobody talks about in my house. My husband will tell you, we stopped talking politics a long time ago because the politics made us argue. He knows where I stand in politics. I know where he stands in politics. But political issues are stupid. And there is no sense in you arguing over it. It's okay that y'all vote for different people. It's okay you to have an opinion. But it's not okay to argue about an opinion. Because that's just ignorant. That's just dumb. And there's no sense in arguing on what we going to eat today. And there's no sense in arguing on who going to take out the trash. There's no sense on where we arguing on where we're gonna go grocery shopping at. You know what I'm saying? That stuff don't matter. And that just cut out 90% of your arguing. But you have to set boundaries also in a relationship. Say, okay, you're not going to make me feel this way. My opinion matters too in this household. And if that's how you feel, then we don't need to talk about that subject. The end. And let that be it. And keep your ground. Stand your ground. Okay? But if the argument continues after a couple of years, maybe God's trying to tell you something. Like that old song. Maybe God is trying to tell you something. Just saying. Because not everybody is for everybody. You can spend 20 years in a relationship and realize one day, y'all just ain't working. Are you willing to risk being unhappy for 20 years knowing you could have had that chance of happiness being single and finding somebody that made you happy? You done wasted 20 years. You know what I'm saying? And there's nothing you can do about it at that point. You have two options. Leave the relationship. Find somebody new, knowing you've wasted 20 years with this other one. Or you stay with that other one and you draw boundaries. That's on you. But at the same time, you and your spouse need to draw boundaries and need to set rules in place on things that you are not willing to talk about. You understand? If it makes you argue constantly, then why talk about it? If cutting grass makes you argue, then you get out there and cut the grass. That way it puts the end to the arguing. If taking out the trash makes you argue, then you take out the trash. That way it ain't no arguing. Sometimes you got to put in a little extra work to get the result you want. Being in a relationship is not easy at all for anyone. Being in a relationship is the hardest job you'll ever apply for. Trust me. Love you.